Once upon a time, the puppet citizens of Northtown are living peacefully without a care in the world. All of a sudden, a giant backdrop representing destruction is unveiled. An evil force takes over the town. Big robots and minions kidnap the puppet citizens. Headdy comes in to the rescue, but it's no good. The Dark Demon and his minions very quickly create a scanning machine that throws away anything and anyone unworthy, whether it would be to live in the Imperial Town or transform them into his evil minions. Headdy was among the unworthy. He is thrown in the garbage tip and is transported to the incinerator. However, the garbage tip contraption malfunctions. Headdy escapes and sets off to take on the evil force responsible. Meanwhile, he has a romantic interest named Heather, sometimes being a step ahead, and another puppet called Shit Cat is jealous of Headdy's success and tries his best to hinder it. No, he's not really called that, I just think he's a pain in the ass throughout the whole game. He's actually called Trouble Brewin. That is the story of Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Mega Drive, one of the best games for the system that hardly anybody talks about. The way the story presents itself is really unique. It's set up like a play or a puppet show. Because of this, there's always something going on, whether it would be in the background or a big thing trying to squash Headdy. Crew members change the scenery, and when a new level is loading up, the curtains close with more puns than Bubsy. It sometimes makes you question whether this is a play and you're in the audience seat controlling it, or if the Dark Demon took over the stage at the beginning of the play and the audience have no idea, or if this is a multiverse puppet show styled world. It's certainly an ambiguous scenario. That's the beauty of setting it as a play or a puppet show. It gives you permission to create the most outlandish presentation and still make it work. This should be in anyone's top 10 for the most creative and best looking Sega Mega Drive games. Leave it up to Treasure to push the system's limits. There's plenty of strong colour and lots of rotating effects and scrolling backgrounds. Combine this with some of the best music and sound effects on the Mega Drive, it certainly has the making of a vibrant and original art direction. Did I mention the voice quality is also on par?
I cannot be read. Thank you. Help me! We've got a secret bonus point.
Why haven't we seen anything like this in a video game? Interactive plays and puppet shows are an awesome concept. An indie game developer should make a spiritual successor to this. The gameplay. As you can tell, it's a platformer, but nothing like Sonic or Mario. Headdy has a detachable head and is used for attacking and platforming. It takes a bit of time getting used to grabbing onto the hangman, but otherwise there's nothing to complain about. If you're unsure, there's an optional tutorial at the beginning of the game. You can use his head in all 8 directions so you feel like you're in full control of Headdy. Along the way, Headdy can obtain power-ups for a short time, including a hammer, invisibility, shrink, a bomb, and this thing. Yeah, you don't want to get this one. Because of the outlandish presentation, there are lots of different level types. One moment you're climbing up a tower, next thing you're trying to attack and avoid a big redhead while he's throwing shit at you. Nice rotating effect. Even one level turns into a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, so it tries to add variety into the gameplay. There's also a bonus stage where you have to put a certain number of basketballs in the hoop. It's only good for points, and in today's world nobody cares, so I just skip it. As you begin to progress, you'll notice that the whole game consists mostly of boss battles. Yeah, it's one of the main reasons it's so challenging. Every boss battle has a different movement and attack method which involves trial and error. Well, you don't get that much. The difficulty almost ruins the game as a whole. I grew up playing this and it hasn't gotten any easier. The in-game difficulty is not what I have a problem with. The bosses on the last few levels are challenging. The controls are really good, so if Headdy dies, it's your fault, not the game's, for the most part. Occasionally it goes for the Mr. Krabs standard of cheapness. Like, what happened here? What killed Headdy? You'll always be begging for a 1-up, health, or a sleep power-up, but overall, the challenge is fine. The problem is the lack of chances you get. If you beat this game on the first try, you deserve an Olympic gold medal. When you get through the second half, it's guaranteed that you'll reach a point where you'll really wish you had as many lives or continues as you want. This boss in particular took me at least a couple dozen tries. Now, let's just pretend there are no continues and I only had about a few lives. It means I would have to play through the game at least 5 times until I finally get the rhythm. That's bullshit. Having close to no continues means you'll either be burnt out or too pissed off to do it all over again. This is the reason why unlimited continues or even passwords are mandatory. To acquire continues, collect as many of these things after beating a main boss and hope for the best. And I say hope for the best because it rarely happens. At least the voice quality is good enough to tell if you have another continue or not, right?
You've got another try.
Normally games made for release in Japan are harder, but this is a case where the Japanese version is easier than the worldwide release. The Japanese version, you get 3 continues to start with. The bosses take less hits, and most projectiles are smaller. I hate when developers change a game for different regions. I just think the amount of effort they put into making these changes, wouldn't it be better using that time and effort to make the general gameplay even better? So many hard platformers include Battletoads, Ghouls and Ghosts, the first Mega Man game, and Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. But try and play those games with next to no continues. I think that might be the reason why the developers put a lot of effort into the game over screen, because they knew everyone who played this at least once would see it. I admit, it's clever though. Headdy keeps getting killed, but in actuality, he's constantly missing his cue, so he's kicked off the set. The only way to get around this problem is to play this game on the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection because you can save it at any time, so if you die, you can simply reload as if you have infinite tries. Developed by Treasure, who gave us many legendary games on the Mega Drive like Gunstar Heroes and Alien Soldier, Dynamite Headdy is one of those games. This would have got a lot more attention if Sega didn't put so much focus on the upcoming Saturn and it wasn't so relentless. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Difficulty aside, it's still a really fun platformer for the Mega Drive, and it's easy to find whether it be a physical copy or digital. It's worth checking out if you haven't. Just expect it to really push your buttons, especially if you have to start all over again. When the graphics are pushed to the limits, the gameplay is solid, the music is catchy, and the presentation is as colourful as the Mega Drive allows. It's hard not to like this, unless you're either a Nintendo fan or really short-tempered. Treasure needs to make a sequel for this. I mean, what else are they doing?